In this video, we'll go over adding a second water pump to our original model. Well, actually, it's the one that we added an evaporation rate slider to. So what I recommend is that you remix it so that you have that working model with the evaporation rate slider. And for this one, we're just going to make some modifications for a new pump. So let's rename this. And we'll go down and add that pump. Remember, the procedure here, make pump, is the one that is going to create the first one, and we're going to use this as our template for our second pump. So I'm going to pause here and create that. So I have here my new procedure called make second pump, and it has a lot of similarities as the original make pump, but a few differences. I decided to change things just slightly, which is that since we're using Stamp Grid, I did not add a size. If you remember from the previous video, I talked about the difference between Stamp Grid and regular stamp. So in this case, we don't need the size, and also I decided that instead of setting the color and then using the stamp My Color, I put the color block inside that Stamp Grid. So just a slight variation. And my new pump has a different color. It is white, and I want to use that to distinguish what happens later on, and also possibly with some data collection. So now what we're going to do is make sure we have this new procedure. You have to make sure that it is called in your setup. So we're going to add that in and select the one that we just created, and now let's test it. So we'll save, run code, and setup, and there it is. So it's slightly to the right. I did that using a different X, but the rest of it is the same size and such. So it's created, but now we have to go into the code and add the information to make the pump actually work. So we have the procedure here, and this is what is the pumping action, basically the recycling of the water. And so we need something similar to this for our new pump. So we could copy and paste it, but then we want to make sure that we make the changes necessary, okay? So we have this original one, and now we're going to rename this one, and we're going to make sure it's a totally different name. It has to be a unique name for this pump. And notice that because I did a copy paste, this original call changed automatically to that pump. So we want to make sure that we have the procedures that we're making. So while I'm at it, I can see this. I'm going to just go get another procedure here, and we're going to have it do the second pump second pump. And what's the difference here? Well, this one is going to be white. But everything else can stay the same. So that was one thing that we can do efficiently, is that copy paste, but oftentimes you'll find that you don't think through the code very well. So I do still encourage creating the procedure from new blocks. So now that we have our procedure and it's called in the forever, we're going to go up and test it. And indeed, it's working. We can see that when the blue spheres are hitting these colors, they do have a tendency to disappear. So we know that there's some action happening, and likely this is working correctly. We won't know until we add some data, which we'll do in the next video. Thanks so much.